यू आर अ फ्लैट अर्थर एंड आप दुनिया के सामने जाके बोल रहे हो कि देखो मैं फ्लैट अर्थर हूँ और ये मेरे थियरीज़ हैं, मैं ऐसी ऐसी चीज़ों में बिलीव करता हूँ। सो अगर वहाँ पे जाके आप कुछ ऊट पटांग चीज़ों पे बिलीव करते हो, ऐसा सामने वाले को लगता है, देन फिर वो सोचेगा कि सारे ही फ्लैट अर्थर्स में भी इस टाइप की ऊट पटांग बातें ही करते हैं। दैट्स ऑल आई केयर। द पॉइंट बीइंग कि देयर आर अ फ्यू थिंग्स टू विच देयर इज़ नो एस्केप, जिसमें से सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है कि हम फ्लैट अर्थर्स बोलते हैं कि ग्रेविटी सूडो साइंस है, एवोल्यूशन सूडो साइंस है। द मोमेंट यू यूज द वर्ड सूडो साइंस, देयर हैज़ टू बी सम आइडिया ऑफ real science or actual science that you subscribe to. I want to know about that. What do you call science? Science किस चीज़ को डिफाइन करेंगे कि हाँ ये चीज़ साइंस है? जैसा मैंने बताया अपने सारे वीडियोस में पिछले, मैंने क्या बात करी है? साइंस इज़ अ मेथड. What is it called? The scientific method. It has a number of steps. ग्रेविटी हम लोग तो बोल देते हैं ग्लोबर्स को कि ग्रेविटी तो नहीं एग्जिस्ट करता है, लेकिन फिर भी वो लोग तो पूछता ही है कि थिंग्स फॉल डाउन, चीज़ नीचे तो जा रहा है। तो अगर तुम सिर्फ बोलेगा कि नहीं रिलेटिव डेंसिटी से हो रहा है वो और ग्रेविटी कुछ भी नहीं है, फिर तो वो लोग नहीं मानेगा ना। तो इसीलिए आपको बोलना पड़ेगा कि नहीं ग्रेविटी नहीं है, उसके जगह पे ये जो हम दूसरा चीज़ बता रहे हैं ना वो चीज़ है। These kind of clowns, these numpty flat earthers need to be corrected. बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है ये, and especially on the point of gravity, क्योंकि ग्लोब अर्थर्स के सारे पॉइंट घूम फिर के ग्रेविटी पे ही आते हैं। So that is what the whole video is all about. तो तुम अपने आप को फ्लैट अर्थर बोल रहे हो, और ऐसा फ्लैट अर्थर जो कि ये मानता है कि ग्रेविटी एग्जिस्ट्स and things actually fall down, gases do have a downward vector, ये सारी चीज़ें आपने मान ली, you're a clown. आप ग्लोब अर्थर को डिबेट में हराओगे क्या? They are going to agree with you. वो तो बोलेंगे कि हाँ things fall down, हाँ things do fall down. आप हाँ में हाँ मिलाओगे उसके, यहाँ है ना, चलो there is no debate then. Next point. The fuck man. So it's perfectly alright to say we do not have answers to these questions. Many of those questions जो कि globe earthers put करते हैं. But does that make the earth a sphere? No. आपको point out करना पड़ेगा कि वो सवाल irrelevant है. हम लोग यहाँ पे flat non-rotating earth की बात कर रहे हैं, तो फिर वहाँ पे eclipse कैसे हो रहा है उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है। जो उनको बोलो एक्सप्लेन करने को, ये तुम बताओ ना एक्लिप्स कैसे हो रहा है, एंड देन यू पॉइंट आउट द लॉजिकल फैलेसी इन देयर आर्ग्यूमेंट दैट इट्स अफर्मिंग द कॉन्सिक्वेंस, फॉर्मल लॉजिकल फैलेसी। एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स बोलता है कि देखो हम साइंस कर रहे हैं, तब हम उसको बोलेंगे सूडो साइंस, क्योंकि सूडो साइंस का डेफिनेशन क्या है? समथिंग विच इज जस्ट प्रिटेंडिंग टू बी साइंस विदाउट following the scientific method. क्या करते हैं वो लोग? नेचुरल फिनोमिनन कोई ऑब्जर्व किया, क्या एक्लिप्स हुआ या फिर रेड शिफ्ट हुआ, ब्लू शिफ्ट हुआ, ब्लैक होल हुआ, सुपरनोवा बर्स्ट हुआ, फलाना ढिमकाना, बहुत कुछ ऑब्जर्व करते हैं। लेकिन व्हाट दे कैन नेवर डू इज एनी हाइपोथेसिस टेस्टिंग. कैन दे एवर कंडक्ट एन एक्सपेरिमेंट on the things that they observed? It's inconceivable. It's impossible. हो ही नहीं सकता है। स्कूल में हमने लैंग्वेज भी सीखा है. Mathematics is also a language used to describe things, describe reality and things we observe. लेकिन just because you have something in maths does not make it reality. You can use maths to describe reality, but just because you write something on a piece of paper using mathematical axioms does not make it reality, right? So इसीलिए it is important that flat earthers choose their words carefully. गलतियाँ कर करके ही सीखते हैं, इसीलिए here I am today correcting you, ताकि आप भी गलतियाँ करना कम कर दो. एटलीस्ट कम तो करे, बट वो अंदर में स्पिरिट होना चाहिए कि जब कोई गलती कर रहे हैं एंड कोई पॉइंट आउट करे, क्यों कर रहे हो ऐसी गलती. सो इफ़ यू आर एन ऑनेस्ट पर्सन, यू हैव टू एडमिट कि ठीक है यार, गलती नहीं करेंगे अब से. इफ़ यू डू नॉट डू दैट, तो you cease to be an honest person then. The whole point is that there is a standard of truth that we come to after flat earth, right? कि भाई जो चीज़ों को वेरीफाई नहीं कर सकते हैं, या तो बोलेंगे कि हमें आंसर नहीं पता, लेकिन एटलीस्ट हम सेम गलतियाँ सेम मिस्टेक्स रिपीट तो नहीं करेंगे, राइट? कि हमें किसी ने कोई मनगढ़ंत कहानी बताई थी कि देखो ग्रेविटी ऐसा होता है, ये कर सकता है, वो कर सकता है, और हमने मान ली थी. इफ़ यू डू नॉट वांट टू कमिट द सेम मिस्टेक, आप क्यों कर रहे हो कि अभी फिर से आप बोल रहे हो कि देखो ग्रेविटी ऐसा होता है, वैसा होता है, ये होता है, वो होता है. मेरी बात मान लो. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू ऑब्जर्व. यही बात हमें देखने को मिलेगी अभी जो हम वीडियो रिव्यू करने वाले हैं इस पे. वेरीफाई कैसे करे? साइंस के लिए वेरीफाई करना पड़ेगा ना. ये सब जो आप बात बोल रहे हो, ब्लैक सन है, इतना डिस्टेंस है, ये है, वो है, ये हम खुद से वेरीफाई कैसे करें?
खुद से वेरीफाई, खुद को पहले सेटिस्फाई होना है, कैसे होता है.
Welcome everyone to this new video.
Hey, that's not me. This is me today. Welcome everyone to this live stream. और जो मैं अभी आपको दिखा रहा था, वो मेरा ही वीडियो है 5 महीने पहले का, which was part 1 of my series Science 101. अप्रॉक्सीमेटली ये थोड़ा सा 2 घंटे से कम का था. एंड इसके बाद पार्ट 2 ऑफ 2, वो भी मैं आपको दिखा देता हूँ, वो दोनों वीडियोस. सो पार्ट 2 हैज़ परफॉर्म्ड रियली वेल. ऑलमोस्ट 500 व्यूज़ आने को हैं इसमें, लेकिन पार्ट 1 में बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट नहीं दिखाया लोगों ने, बिकॉज दैट वाज द थियोरेटिकल पार्ट. और अभी जो मैंने वीडियो प्ले किया, इट वाज फ्रॉम दिस वन, लंबरजैक वर्सेस नम्टी फ्लैट अर्थर्स. एंड द टाइटल ऑफ द वीडियो इज़ साइंस 101, थियरी ऑफ ग्रेविटी. और आज का भी जो हमारा टॉपिक है, मिस्टर शॉन हॉकिंस ऑलरेडी चैट में लग गए हैं. आरविन इज़ देयर टेकिंग केयर ऑफ हिम. तो आज का हमारा जो वीडियो है, थंबनेल देख के आप समझ ही गए होंगे, इट्स गोइंग टू बी ऑल अबाउट साइंस वर्सेस स्यूडो साइंस, एंड पर्टिकुलरली ऑन द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ ग्रेविटी. तो बात यह है कि आई डू नॉट रियली लाइक टू रिपीट माई सेल्फ अ लॉट. ये वीडियो जो 5 महीने पहले का मैंने प्ले किया, अगर आपको डिटेल्स में देखना है वीडियो, तो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि आप जाके पूरा वीडियो देखिए. इसमें जो सब कुछ अभी मैं बात करता हूँ, उसके बिल्कुल डिटेल में जाके, अंदर में जाके बात करते हैं और क्लैरिटी लाने की कोशिश करते हैं. सो माई ओनली एम इज़ टू ब्रिंग क्लैरिटी टू द आर्ग्यूमेंट. ठीक है? तो ये दोनों वीडियोस दूसरे फ्लैट अर्थर्स हु आर ऑल्सो लुकिंग फॉर सम क्लैरिटी ऑन दीज टॉपिक्स, उनको जाके एटलीस्ट ग्रेविटी के पॉइंट में, बिकॉज इट इज़ सो यूबिक्विटस इन द हीलियोसेंट्रिक मॉडल, सारी चीज़ों का एक्सप्लेनेशन आपको अल्टीमेटली ग्रेविटी में मिल ही जाता है. तो इस वजह से मुझे लगता है कि मेरे वन ऑफ द मोस्ट सिग्निफिकेंट वीडियोस, सिग्निफिकेंट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस में से एक है ये दोनों वीडियोस. सो वंस अगेन, दी Google Meet link is in the pinned comment. मैसेज में आपको पिन्ड कमेंट में Google Meet का लिंक मिल जाएगा. जिनको भी ज्वाइन करना है आप आके ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, अपने सवाल पूछ सकते हैं। बट आज हम प्राइमरीली ग्रेविटी और ग्रेविटी रिलेटेड कुछ भी अगर आपके सवाल हो तो वही लेने वाले हैं, ठीक है ना। जो प्रेजेंटेशन मैंने वहाँ पे आपको शो किया, मतलब जो प्रेजेंटेशन मैं पिछले वाले वीडियो में यूज़ कर रहा था, उसकी ऑथेंटिसिटी फिर से आपको बताने के लिए वो अभी भी मेरे पास मौजूद है। लंबरजैक वर्सेस नम्टी फ्लैट अर्थर्स, ये उस वीडियो का थंबनेल था और उसमें हम पूरा का पूरा बात क्या करते हैं, ग्रेविटी के बारे में। ग्रेविटी सूडो साइंस है कि नहीं है, एंड बेसिकली व्हाट इज़ द डिफरेंस बिटवीन साइंस एंड सूडो साइंस। तो ये हमारा मेन टॉपिक ऑफ डिस्कशन होता है वहाँ पे। एंड आज के वीडियो में वैसे तो मैंने सोचा है कि जो इंट्रो अभी प्ले किया आई कैन कंटिन्यू विद दैट सेम थिंग, बट उसके अलावा भी कुछ और है मेरे पास। और वो है द मैन नेथन ओकली का एक वीडियो, जो कि अभी 2 दिन पहले का ही वीडियो है। और उस वीडियो में भी वो बिल्कुल वही सेम ओल्ड टॉपिक, ग्रेविटी एंड गैस बिहेवियर, हाउ गैसेस डू नॉट गो डाउन गो बूम बूम, लेकिन फिर भी ग्लोबर्स बोलते हैं कि नए गैसेस डू गो डाउन। और मेरा जो वीडियो था दैट इज़ अनदर लेवल, क्योंकि वहाँ पे मैं प्राइमरीली एक फ्लैट अर्थर के आर्ग्यूमेंट्स को काउंटर कर रहा था। एक फ्लैट अर्थर जो खुद सोचता है, दैट वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द क्लिप्स। तो मुझे वही लग रहा है कि वो वाले वीडियो के एक एक जो पॉइंट है, उन सारे पॉइंट्स को लेके आई कैन टॉक फॉर अ लिटिल वाइल। एंड अदर देन दैट नेथन ओकली का जो ये वीडियो है, इसमें भी बहुत सारी बातें होती है। सो प्लीज़ फील फ्री टू ज्वाइन, जिनको भी ज्वाइन करना है लाइव स्ट्रीम में। और तब तक मैं वही करता हूँ, उस वाले वीडियो में जो शुरू से एक एक पॉइंट करके अलग अलग क्लिप्स में, वंस अगेन आई वुड से कि जिनको देखना है पूरा वीडियो वो तो जाएं वो वाले वीडियो पे, थियोरेटिकल पार्ट अच्छे से समझे। यहाँ पे मैं सिर्फ उस 2 घंटे के वीडियो में से जो इम्पोर्टेंट वाले पार्ट्स थे, क्लिप्स थे, उनको अराउंड 5-6 मिनट में कंपाइल करके शुरू में मैंने प्रीव्यू प्ले किया था। तो चलो, जब तक कोई ज्वाइन नहीं करते हैं, मैं स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ अपना प्रीव्यू, यही वाला प्रीव्यू इन द सेंस द टॉपिक ऑफ डिस्कशन विच इज़ ग्रेविटी। और उसमें कोई कोई सी चीज़ें जो रेलिवेंट होंगी वो यहाँ पे बात में आएंगी। एंड इसको जल्दी से अगर ख़त्म कर लेते हैं तो वी विल जंप इनटू दिस नेथन ओकली वीडियो ऑल्सो। Maybe in the middle I can play that. वॉल्यूम मैंने अभी नहीं ऐड किया है इसमें, क्योंकि अभी आप लोगों ने सुना भी। एंड या जो बैकग्राउंड म्यूज़िक चल रहा था बहुत ही लो वॉल्यूम पे चला के रखा था मैं, लेकिन वो बैकग्राउंड म्यूज़िक आपने पहले कहाँ सुना है मुझे कमेंट में बताना। फील फ्री टू कमेंट, आस्क क्वेश्चंस एंड सजेस्ट वीडियोस विच यू वांट मी टू रिव्यू। तो ऐसे कोई वीडियोस जो कि ऑन टॉपिक हैं, कोई ग्लोब अर्थर का या रैंडम कहीं पे आप देख रहे हो लेकिन यू फील कि टॉपिक से रिलेटेड है, फ्लैट अर्थ के टॉपिक से, तो आप बता सकते हो कमेंट में, बताइए। अगर सही लगेगा मुझे तो इन अ फ्यूचर वीडियो आई एम गोइंग टू रिव्यू ऑल दोज वीडियोज़ ऑल्सो। एंड जब मैं वो वाला वीडियो करूँ, जो वीडियो आप सजेस्ट कर रहे हो, आप आके लाइव में ज्वाइन भी कर सकते हो, जस्ट लाइक टुडे ऑल्सो. The joining link is in the description. I'm sorry, is in the pinned comment. So, first things first, thanks to Mr. Shamal Dullai for challenging me intellectually, not in any other way. बट वो जो इंटेलेक्चुअल चैलेंज आपके ऊपर फेंका जाता है, जो अपने पॉइंट्स को, श्यामल दोलाई अपने पॉइंट्स को विथ कन्विक्शन पुट कर रहे थे कि नहीं, आई एम गिविंग अ पॉजिटिव एक्सप्लेनेशन फॉर वाई थिंग्स फॉल डाउन. तो जब कोई ऐसा स्ट्रांगली आके अपना पॉइंट रखता है, तभी तो आप उसको रिफ्यूट कर सकते हो, तभी तो उसको आप बोल सकते हो कि अब मानोगे कि नहीं मानोगे दैट यू हैव बीन प्रूवन रॉन्ग. तो दिस पर्सन गेव मी द अपॉर्चुनिटी, उसके लिए आई एम थैंकफुल. लेकिन ऑब्वियसली ही इज़ नॉट द ओनली फ्लैट अर्थर टू कम अप विथ सच ऑल्टरनेटिव एक्सप्लेनेशंस फॉर थिंग्स विच वी कैन नॉट एक्सप्लेन, विच फ्लैट अर्थर्स कैन नॉट एक्सप्लेन. लेकिन ये लोग ये नहीं सोचते हैं कि क्यों एक्सप्लेनेशंस के पीछे हम भाग रहे हैं. फ्लैट अर्थ होने नहीं होने से, इस जो एक्सप्लेनेशन की आप तलाश में हो, उससे क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, ये इन लोगों ने कभी मे बी डीपली नहीं सोचा है. और इसीलिए निकल पड़ते हैं अपने एक्सप्लेनेशंस और आंसर्स की खोज में. तो वीडियो में मैं क्या बोलता हूँ,
मैंने ओपन तो करके रखा है ऑलरेडी. देर आर अ फ्यू थिंग्स दैट आई वांट टू गो ओवर इससे पहले कि हम इस वीडियो के रिव्यू के साथ स्टार्ट करें. मैं केयर बस इतना करता हूँ कि
दैट वाज जस्ट एन इंट्रोडक्शन कि आई वाज रिव्यूइंग श्यामल दुलाईज वीडियो, और इस वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में मैंने लिख दिया है द एक्चुअल रिव्यू, बिकॉज इन दिस वन मैं बस माहौल सेट करता हूँ विथ लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ थियरी. तो आज भी मे बी वी विल नीड टू गो टू दैट थियरी पार्ट. प्रेजेंटेशन जैसा कि मैंने दिखाया कि मेरा रेडी ही है. एक्सक्यूज मी. तो अगर ज़रूरत पड़ेगी तो जाएंगे वहाँ पे, अदरवाइज़ यहाँ से बात करना स्टार्ट करते हैं. दिस इज़ द होल पॉइंट. ये नीड्स नो रीइटरेशन. दिस इज़ वेयर आई स्टार्टेड द क्लिप.
यू आर अ फ्लैट अर्थर एंड आप दुनिया के सामने जाके बोल रहे हो कि देखो मैं फ्लैट अर्थर हूँ और ये मेरे थियरीज़ हैं, मैं ऐसी ऐसी चीज़ों में बिलीव करता हूँ. सो अगर वहाँ पे जाके आप कुछ ऊट पटांग चीज़ों पे बिलीव करते हो, ऐसा सामने वाले को लगता है, देन फिर वो सोचेगा कि सारे ही फ्लैट अर्थर्स में भी इस टाइप की ऊट पटांग बातें ही करते हैं. दैट्स ऑल आई केयर. द पॉइंट बी.
तो इस वीडियो के बाद भी मेरे कई सारे लाइव स्ट्रीम्स में मैंने यही बात रिपीट करी है. इवन चाणक्य के साथ उसके चैनल पे जाके भी व्हेन पीपल वर आस्किंग इन द चैट और अदरवाइज सवाल आते हैं कि क्यों कर रहे हैं ऐसा, क्या फ़ायदा होता है. तो वही पॉइंट है कि इवन चाणक्य तिवारी, जिसको भी मैं क्रिटिसाइज़ करता हूँ अपने ये वाले पार्ट में वीडियो में, बिकॉज जस्ट लाइक श्यामल दुलाई has his idea of Shankarshan from the scriptures. सामने कितना ही अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है कि someone else is getting some other explanation from the scriptures. It is गुरुत्वाकर्षण. तो पहले तो आपस में डिसाइड कर लें कि कौन सा वाला आंसर मिल रहा है, और उसके बाद फिर कि क्या एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हो आप. Why things fall down? Well, they don't. As a flat earther, that should be your argument. Things don't fall down. Clouds, helium balloon, steam. तो ग्रेविटी जो हमें बताया जाता है कि यूनिवर्सल है, सारी चीज़ों पे काम करता है, वो गैस पे भी करता है. बट गैस बिहेवियर does not take into account gravity. Gas molecules inside a container are not affected by gravity. Otherwise, you will have more pressure, more amount of gas at the bottom compared to the top of the container. It does not happen. इस वाले वीडियो में, जिस वीडियो को मैं रिव्यू कर रहा था, उसमें शामल दुलाई क्लेम करते हैं. पता नहीं उनका क्लेम चेंज हो गया है नहीं. दैट वाज आल्सो वन थिंग जो मैंने सोचा था कि यहाँ पे मे बी शामल दुलाई का चैनल पे जाके देखे कि उनके अभी अपलोड्स क्या चल रहे हैं. बट आई थॉट अगेंस्ट इट. एनीवेज, आई एम नॉट श्योर कि उनके व्यूज़ चेंज हो गए हैं, नहीं हुए हैं, अभी क्या सोचते हैं वो. लेकिन फिर भी द होल पॉइंट इज़ दिस: साइंस वर्सेस pseudo science. And even people who are coming up with this alternate, with all these alternate explanations, say कि gravity is pseudoscience. तो gravity is pseudoscience बोलने के साथ साथ वो explain क्या करते हैं? Why things fall down. As a flat earther, they need to explain things falling down without pointing out the obvious. सो इसका अच्छा एग्जाम्पल एक नेथन ओकली या किसी पैनल मेंबर ने दिया था कि जब कोई सामने बोले कि थिंग्स फॉल डाउन, तो आप, जैसे मैं अभी अपने रूम पे बैठा हुआ हूँ, सारी चीज़ें मेरे चारों ओर हैं, तो उससे बोलो कि अरे मैं अभी अपने रूम में बैठा हुआ है, नथिंग इज़ फॉलिंग डाउन. कोई भी चीज़ गिर रहा है क्या? अपने आप से कोई गिर रहा है क्या? अब आप कोई चीज़ को उठा के छोड़ दोगे और वो वाई डू थिंग्स फॉल डाउन, अरे आपने किया क्यों? इट्स सो फनी कि श्यामल दा के साथ और दूसरे फ्लैट अर्थर्स के साथ व्हाट्सएप पे, टेक्स्ट में, बहुत सारे दूसरे जगह पे, ट्विटर पे ये सब बातें चलती है बिटवीन फ्लैट अर्थर्स. तो साइंस वर्सेस सूडो साइंस, दैट्स द होल पॉइंट.
Being कि there are a few things to which there is no escape, जिसमें से सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है कि हम फ्लैट अर्थर्स बोलते हैं कि ग्रेविटी सूडो साइंस है, एवोल्यूशन सूडो साइंस है. द मोमेंट यू यूज द वर्ड सूडो साइंस, देयर हैज़ टू बी सम आइडिया ऑफ रियल साइंस और एक्चुअल साइंस दैट यू सब्सक्राइब टू. आई वॉन्ट टू नो अबाउट दैट. व्हाट डू यू कॉल साइंस? साइंस किस चीज़ को डिफाइन करेंगे कि हाँ ये चीज़ साइंस है? जैसा मैंने बताया अपने सारे वीडियोस में पिछले, मैंने क्या बात करी है? साइंस इज़ अ मेथड. व्हाट इज़ इट कॉल्ड? द साइंटिफिक मेथड. इट हैज़ अ नंबर ऑफ स्टेप्स. ग्रेविटी,
वी विल कम बैक टू थिंग्स फॉलिंग डाउन. ये वाला क्लिप अभी मैं प्ले करूँगा, बट उससे पहले पिछले वाले क्लिप में ही सी देर आर अ फ्यू थिंग्स विच नीड टू बी सेड regarding flat earthers in India. ठीक है, people here in India give a lot of importance to skills like the ability to create a decent enough YouTube channel, or maybe even after being flat earthers, they are still influenced by big tags of colleges like IITs. And हमारे पास एक IITian फ्लैट अर्थर भी हैं. मैंने उनका, मेरा फ्लैट अर्थ इंटरव्यू ज़्यादा तो नहीं, 3-4 ही हो पाए थे, बट इंडिया में जब मुझे पता चला कि फ्लैट अर्थर्स हैं, तो ये फ्लैट अर्थर का मुझे सबसे पहले पता चला था. मैं डायरेक्टली अभी नाम नहीं ले रहा हूँ, बट मेरा फ्लैट अर्थ इंटरव्यू नंबर 1 was with this flat earther. The title of that video is Everything is a Lie. तो उस टाइम पे तो बहुत अच्छे से मैं नहीं जानता था उनके सारे व्यूज़, बट धीरे धीरे जब पता चला तो येस, आई केम टू रियलाइज़ कि दैट्स हिज एंटायर वर्ल्ड व्यू. एंड ऐसा बहुत सारे दूसरे फ्लैट अर्थर्स हैं, नेमलेस फेसलेस वंस, जो कि ऐसे ही बातें करते हैं, डिनाइंग एंटायर हिस्ट्री entire science, body of science, I mean, साइंस जैसा कि मैंने अभी जस्ट बताया कि इज़ अ मेथड. So even after that, I will give you the same example in history also and in science also. कि ऐसे लोग जो ये बोलते हैं कि आज से 100 साल पहले, 150 साल पहले पूरा का पूरा हिस्ट्री को रिक्रिएट किया गया है, सारे जो स्क्रिप्चर्स वगैरह जो भी हम हिस्ट्री पढ़ रहे हैं, दैट इज़ ऑल मेड अप एंड टर्टेरिया फलाना डिमकाना, आज से 200-250 साल पहले मड फ्लड रीसेट ये सब कुछ हुआ था और ऑर्फन चिल्ड्रन आए थे और पूरा वर्ल्ड रिपॉपुलेट हुआ था. एंड दी सेम पीपल हु क्लेम that entire history is fabricated and it has been erased from the memory of human civilization and the eraser has been forgotten, and at the same time इन्हीं लोगों के मुंह से क्लेम सुनने को मिलता है कि देयर वॉज एन ओल्ड सिविलाइजेशन, एंशियंट सिविलाइजेशन, और रादर एंशियंट तो नहीं था अगर 200-250 साल पहले ही एग्जिस्ट करता था, but there was a worldwide civilization. This claim in and of itself is a historical claim. आपके methodology अलग हो सकते हैं बट आप क्लेम तो हिस्ट्री का ही कर रहे हो ना. जो दूसरी हिस्ट्री बता रहे हैं वो आर्कियोलॉजी के साथ रिटन हिस्टोरिकल एविडेंस, पॉटरी, बहुत सारा सूडो साइंस भी घुसा दिया है उसमें, लाइक रेडियो कार्बन डेटिंग एंड वॉट नॉट, जिससे कि थाउजेंड्स ऑफ ईयर्स और मिलियंस ऑफ ईयर्स भी पहुंच जाते हैं. बट यू हैव टू फ्लैट अर्थ गिव्स यू द एबिलिटी टू सी थ्रू द स्मोक एंड मिरर कि यहाँ पे कौन सा वाला पार्ट एक्चुअली ट्रू है और एक्चुअली वेरीफाइएबल है और कौन से वाले पार्ट में वो बिल्कुल कहानी पेल रहे हैं, मनगढ़ंत चीज़ बता रहे हैं. सो हिस्ट्री में भी आई डोंट नो, हिस्टोरिकल क्लेम करने के साथ साथ वो बोलते हैं कि इंटायर हिस्ट्री इज लाई. सिमिलरली साइंस, फ्लैट अर्थर्स आर द वंस हु से कि ग्रेविटी इज सूडो साइंस, और फिर वो बोलते हैं कि पूरा का पूरा जो हमें साइंस बताया गया है वो तो वही जो एलीट हैं जो हमें रूल करना चाहते हैं वही तो बता रहे हैं ना. So how can we go by the definition of science? Because it is their definition. और ये पूरा का पूरा डिबैकल जेरन और नेथन के बीच में, आई होप कि फ्लैट अर्थर्स एटलीस्ट आर अवेयर ऑफ दिस. तो ये तो फिर किस डायरेक्शन में जाता है आप जानते ही हो. अगर आपको नहीं लगता है कि साइंस एक्चुअली एक ऑथेंटिक एम्पिरिकल मेथड है to prove things, then you shouldn't be using the word pseudoscience, because even the word pseudoscience loses its meaning. आप साइंस के पहले सूडो लगाने से पहले साइंस वर्ड का मीनिंग आपको श्योर होना पड़ेगा, राइट? बट बहुत सारे वर्ड्स का इम्पोर्टेंस समझे बिना हिस्ट्री, साइंस लोग यूज़ करते हैं. एंड I heard a claim as weird as कि the history cannot be scientifically proven. The history of the Bible or the history of Jesus or the history of any of the scriptures, Muhammad, heck, even बता रहा हूँ ना, ये ऐसे ऐसे लोग हैं जो फ्लैट अर्थर्स हैं और 200-250 साल पहले की हिस्ट्री बोलते हैं कि सब कुछ मेडअप है. तो फिर भाई पूरा जो हम हीलियोसेंट्रिक मॉडल को एक्सपोज करते हैं फ्रॉम इट्स रूट्स, फ्रॉम इट्स बिगिनिंग्स ऑफ कोपरनिकस एंड केपलर एंड गैलीलियो एंड सो ऑन, न्यूटन, उसके बाद फिर इन द टर्न ऑफ द 20th सेंचुरी आइंस्टाइन वगैरह, बाकी पिछले एक सेंचुरी का तो हमें पता ही है. फिर तो जहाँ से स्टार्ट हो रहा है कोपरनिकस ये वो, ये सब भी हमें मनगढ़ंत कहानियाँ बताई गई हैं. आई डोंट नो मतलब कैसे ये सारी चीज़ें फिट करती हैं. इट मे बी कंसिडर्ड एज कॉग्निटिव डिसोनेंस ऑन माई पार्ट बाय दोज पीपल, बट ट्रस्ट मी दिस इज़ नॉट द फर्स्ट टाइम कि ये सब मेरे कानों में आ रहा है. मैं खुद भी मार्टिन लिडकी और जॉन लीवाई और पता नहीं कौन कौन इनके वीडियोस एक टाइम पे देखता था. देयर इज़ अ लॉट ऑफ interesting stuff in there, but to have that worldview as your version of reality, of truth, it's unbelievable to me. I fail to understand कि कैसे आप actually ये सब believe करते हो. And there are contradictions, self contradictions when you hear these people talk. But at the same time आप देखते हो कि फिर भी उनको स्क्रूटिनाइज नहीं किया जाता है या क्रिटिसाइज नहीं किया जाता है, बिकॉज दे आर डूइंग अ ग्रेट जॉब ऑफ स्प्रेडिंग द फ्लैट अर्थ इंफॉर्मेशन. इसीलिए क्रिटिसाइज क्यों करना है. फिर सारे के सारे फ्लैट अर्थर्स भाई भाई हो गए. सब एक दूसरे की पीठ थपथपाओ. Welcome, Arvin, for the first time to my show.
Hello. Is it the first time? Are you sure?
Is it not the first time? Not really sure, but I don't think you have come to my channel.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember. It's another guy. The guy from Pakistan. I haven't seen him in a while. Yeah. No, I think I haven't been on your channel before. Yeah, right. All right.
So there's this other guy from Pakistan also. Is he a flat earther too?
Yeah. But I haven't heard from him in like half a year.
Oh.
I don't know what he's doing. But he had shows that are kind of similar to what you do. Like also having guests on and also talking in Hindi. And
all right.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, all
anyway,
these languages. Hindi, Urdu, Punjabi, all these languages are pretty similar to each other, one another.
Yeah. Well, they sound very similar. There might be subtle differences, but like it's very hard to tell, not actually knowing the language, only recognizing it phonetically.
Yeah. So as an
anyway,
Indian,
you were talking about religion and all that, and about Christianity, and I thought that's actually interesting. I don't often hear other people that are flat earthers that I can like openly talk about this. Perhaps Adam Meakin, right?
So Adam Meakin featured on my channel last year or maybe more than a year ago, and we talked about the Bible and religion, all about that. But here I was not really talking about Christianity. I was talking about, that would be interesting to hear from you. What about people who have given up entire history, everything that comes, that we have been told older than 200 or 250 years, at the time of the mud flood. Before that there used to exist the Tartarian Empire. So what do you have to say about such people? All these historical characters like Jesus, like Muhammad, even Copernicus and Galileo, all these are made up stories which we have been told these people never existed and there was a reset some 200 to 50 years ago. You must have come across, right? You must have come across such people.
Yes, of course. I've been around. I mean, this has been going on for years, like half a decade already. So yeah, I've heard a lot of that. I think a lot of it is like really improvised nonsense. But what I have noticed is that there are indeed a lot of key figures that the more they are being held under a loop, the more it turns out that they are actually more assembled characters. They're almost like mythological characters that have been written into history, right? And because the actual knowledge of what has remained, like most of it doesn't really fit the made-up history when you actually dig back, because The overall picture that we get is a complete falsification. Not that none of it has happened, it's just so much is missing, is that we can't even begin to get close to reality with the information that is left. It's like entire peaks of things that have happened and influenced everyone and everything, influenced decision making, right? Those types of moments that happen in history, it's all been completely scrubbed, only leaving pure amnesia. So we're only guessing a lot of how things would have gone. And these people, probably, I kind of blame Freemasons for it, but it's very rough, like that have been assembling this history narrative. They're just like creating some kind of mythology, all to support the hyper liberal futuristic ideas that are going to lead to doom inevitably. So that's kind of how I regard it. But I mean, when it comes to character, like religious characters, like for example, Jesus Christ, I think that all that kind of wisdom is all based on real things. And arguably directly taken, lifted from real events, real people that don't officially exist in that specific form, like rewrites, characters rewritten. And I believe that Jesus Christ is a rewritten character that actually existed, but like in a completely different context, but did say those things, did unveil that wisdom that he is so revered for, right? And even ignored for. That's the like, seriously, Arthur. Christianity is like the craziest religion ever. It really is.
It is.
Because it champions somebody in all the ways that he personally, if you read into it, like wants you not to do. And it praises him for all these things that he claims not to be. And then the people end up doing all kinds of things using his name that he specifically didn't want, using tactics that he recommended against. And that's Christianity. It's the craziest religion ever. Because wisdom of Christ, whether you, like, it doesn't even matter to me whether he, as he's written, is a real person. I don't care, because I recognize the wisdom and the tactic of the wisdom that he has. And that is absolute genius. That I believe that the information itself is very, like, it is divine in origin.
What is the
Like
information?
that's a God communication.
What is the key
Whatever it
information
was,
in the
whatever it
New
was,
Testament,
wisdom
according
itself
to
is
you?
divine.
The key teaching or the key learning from the New Testament, what is it?
It's not the key teaching, it's the words. Everything that Jesus says, when he says it, why does he say it? Everything that you can learn by listening to his words. And the funny thing is, in Bibles, it's highlighted in red.
No, man.
But that, I think,
Everything, if you are to believe a person like Jesus, then you would feel that he was either a lunatic or a liar.
why the hell would you say that?
He was claiming himself to be God.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. Maybe you haven't read
No,
the
he did
Bible.
not. Yeah, I know. I've read it and I've discussed it widely. He did not. He was talking metaphysically. He was talking esoterically. He was clearly in how those sentences are put together. That's not a direct, normal statement. It's not a legal statement when he
We'll
says
get
those.
into
Talking
heuristics then.
esoterically. Clearly, he's talking esoterically.
No, it's about a matter of heuristics, interpretation. So
No,
clearly,
it's
you
about
have
the very
interpreted it.
nature of the linguistics, about what is said. That's not a normal statement. That's not a legal, like a normal statement of how you describe something to be. It's clearly an esoteric statement, not normal language, not a normal way of talking. Very clearly.
Clearly, it's not clear. Otherwise, so many people wouldn't be believing just the opposite of it, right?
No, that's because it's esoteric, and what they do is they take it literal, then it becomes lunatic, and then it becomes all self-contradicting.
So it's not
If you
clear
don't
then.
do that, then it works perfectly, because then it is obvious that the Christians and how they interpret it is wrong, and is made to be wrong, was designed to be wrong, because this form of Christianity is actually the Antichrist Christianity.
Okay,
And
so
nobody knows that about it. It's all occulted. But if you read very carefully, then you see it. Then you see that what the churches themselves teach is like the rise of the enemy. It is them. It's them. It's already been them for quite a while.
this will take us deeper into theology, but I on purpose try not to touch these topics at least for the past 1 year or so. I am focusing on flat earth and all the flat earth proofs, which is why the topic of discussion today was gravity, science versus
You
the
brought
source.
it up, though.
Yeah, I did, because I just was making a passing reference to it. It was relevant to another flat earther in India, which is why I was saying this. And it is really interesting to talk about these topics, but it will mislead the people coming to watch this video through the thumbnail, which is why I think we will have to go back to.
Or you could just change the title, of course.
Do you want to continue with this same topic? Are you?
It's your show. Do you want to continue? I'm going. I mean, I'm glad somebody asks, you know?
But are you interested to say something more on this topic? Do you have more content? Something that
You
want
mean
to-
gravity?
No. On the topic of
No.
Jesus and Bible.
Well, that overall imagery, like there is a system, and I've presented it on my channel quite a few times. It's like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right? But interpreted differently. So you have the Christ being turned inside out, the formation of Christianity by the Council of Nicaea, which is the Antichrist Christianity, the misled form. And like he's in there telling you how it is malformed, and everybody witnesses and then ignores it and becomes idiotic and savage at times when called for, or stupid enough to let themselves die for no good cause because of false promises that don't even originate from Christ, right? And then they proceeded on to create, from within the Jesuit ranks formed on top of that, the globe cosmology, the entire world turned inside out, to lose the origins and to try to lose God in the process, right? So first, the religion is reversed and denounced, and like religious wars are like encouraged by the Jesuits. Then they reverse the cosmology, right? Then they reverse the social ties and create ideologies. Nazism, communism, but most predominantly communism and Marxism, which really unleashes the devil like in group mentality more than ever, and just creates these plagues that are just chewing down and destroying everything, right? And then finally you have the transhumanist, where people basically where people are driven to madness and create death cults, because it's like everything just chews down on them. So people are then indoctrinated to basically become part of death cults, even through governments. And that's the phase we're at, by the way. Right? You understand the chronology of this all? And how it's all from one line. Like it's all stemming from the same people. You can all tie it together as to like who was doing it, who they're connected to. It originates from the Catholic Church.
Even I
Who,
think,
by the way, was the Roman Empire before that. And the Roman Empire were the destroyers of history. They were the main destroyers of history. They always, they saw the emperors there, they saw history as fluid. They were totally satanic, and everything they said was reality. And if they said something then basically history writers would have to write a history for that shit. That's how they saw reality. And they literally erased lore and knowledge and like erased people's histories, like took them into slavery and then erased everything they had. Like to wipe every trace of them out, all their culture, all their temples, all demolish it. Like horrendous influence. Like the Romans were like the most horrible group of people that have probably ever existed, arguably, because they destroyed history and knowledge. And they stole it. Like that's not, the Vatican didn't invent that. They just continuated it, right? You rob things like knowledge, you store it in the Vatican library, and then you destroy it everywhere else.
They still
And then
couldn't.
you hold the knowledge hostage.
They
That's
still
what the
couldn't-
Romans
They still couldn't stop you from accessing that knowledge. That the Romans were evil. You anyways got to know that, right? That means they did not do a good enough job of preventing that knowledge to reach you. But
No, but it works perfectly. No, it works because they were evil and then they found Christ. And now suddenly they were the good guys. It's the ultimate salvation, right? Buying their own anti-Christification of Christ knowledge bullshit. It was political. It was a theocracy. It was a trick to trick the world in that they're not evil anymore. It's the sickest trick ever. And it created the Antichrist.
even I am aware that the Roman Catholic Church is the pure face of evil. They are the vicar of Christ, which is Antichrist. That is not what Christianity means. So I want
Right.
to.
Well,
I
real
wanted to ask
Christianity
you
doesn't
how-
have a church. Jesus always in the book says like you don't have a church. It's where three people meet. It's crazy. He says it. There is no church. There should not be a church. It must be the Antichrist church. And look at what they're doing. It's insane. They are the Antichrist church. They're virtue signaling all the time on how Antichrist they are.
But then you can say that there was a church at Antioch, right? Those group of people who were Christians, when they gathered together, and most probably they did so in the same building every Sunday or every day of the week. So that place itself came to be known as church. So there is a church at Antioch. Such references are there in the Bible itself. That is what the church.
Yep. Yeah. The pre Nicaea church. Yeah. The pre Nicaea followers of Christ. Yeah. They were mostly exterminated by Paul. Yeah. That revered person that everybody's teaching who needs to no, you need to listen to that guy. Right. He's the one that actually exterminated them for the Roman Empire. It's the sickest joke ever.
Before he became Paul, he was Saul back then.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Saul, and he exterminated the actual Church of Christ, the people, and the old ways before it could be reformed in Nicaea. It's the sickest joke ever.
But then Paul wrote the New Testament. Paul's epistles are there in the New Testament. Do you only believe parts of the New Testament out of those 27 books?
Yeah, well, I definitely don't take it all for granted. It's a giant mess. I mostly don't really. I'm not like trying to puzzle what about it is real, what isn't. I just know there's a lot of good books that aren't in there, and they should be, that completely change everything. The context of the Book of Thomas alone, like, completely breaks the entire theocratic narrative, right? Because he mentions reincarnation. Jesus mentions reincarnation. Game over. It's over. The entire thing is over.
Game is not over. That should give you some idea that it's not authentic because it does not match the rest of the books. Thomas was written by someone else later on.
No, wasn't later on. How do you know that?
how do you know that it was written by Thomas?
I'm sorry, what does that mean?
You actually think it was
You're
written by
saying it's a
Thomas the
falsification.
apostle?
So you're now just saying it. What are you basing on that it's false? Sorry? Any evidence that it's not real? I mean, I haven't really dug deep into it, but this is the first time ever I'm hearing that, oh, this book is particularly false. I mean, it's not part of the Nicene Council decision to put it in, but nobody's ever claimed that it is a falsification, as far as I know, of actual Christians. Excuse
There are-
me?
There's a book by Mary Magdalene also. You aware of that?
Mary Magdalene? Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's interesting. I don't know about that too much.
So all
My
those
point
books-
is
yeah.
I've just put down, like, it's been reassembled, resituated, relocated, like grafted into this the Israel situation, pretty much, you could say. Like, that's what they made it out of. I don't think it took place there at all. It's been rewritten to be relocated there, to make it about, because I'm not even sure that Jesus actually had anything to do with Jews. Okay. Yeah. Can you imagine that?
No, I can't really. He was a Jew.
How do you know? Because the Bible says it?
Not just the Bible. I was coming to that similar question. I was putting that question to you when you were questioning the existence of.
No, but you're not answering, though. How do you know it? What are you basing the information that he was a Jew on? Like, of those times, right? Old.
It's a
How do you
historical
know?
fact
Based on what?
based on historical facts are based on a lot of things. Connecting the dots from written
A lot of
history, from
stories.
archaeology, from various parts of the world, people writing the same thing. And
Oh, okay. Yeah.
if you question the existence, the life, the death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, then you have to deny the existence of entire history. Then you cannot say Alexander really existed or Pythagoras really existed. So that was my question. I was coming to that before even you put that question to me. How can we be sure of anything in history, for that matter? Whether
Well, you have
Alexander
to figure it
existed-
out. You have to figure it out and keep comparing. As soon as you're gonna like surrender to any kind of like, if this is wrong, then everything is wrong. That's called a solipsistic reversal.
No, so
And if you
mean to
do that,
say you
well,
have
literally, let me finish.
Mhm.
If you do that, then you give up your option of being able to figure it out. That's what you do then.
So you're saying we can never be sure of anything.
Yeah, you can. But what we can be sure of is that it's not real, not that way. It's a falsification.
But we can never be sure what it actually was.
What it actually was?
Or how something actually happened. Like you're saying, you can falsify some claim of history where it is claimed that it happened this way. Jesus was crucified by the Jews, by the Romans in the Roman Empire.
The only way ever probably you will be able to figure it out is if you go into the Vatican Library and find the original Bible, the pre-Nicene Bible, which undoubtedly should be there. And then we know. And then we know what it all was. Could be all completely different originally. Like the idea of that it's like a European Jesus might not even be part of that. It might be a different thing. It might be like somebody or everybody thought that Jesus had come again. Basically, in France, it might be that, and that its story has been completely erased, right? Because it was like everybody was terrified of that. That could also be what it was. We don't know if it's exactly the same person. We don't know.
According to the Bible that we have today, was Jesus of European descent?
No. According to the modern Bible, no. But that's all Nicene, all of it.
Yeah, so no one, even in the Bible that we have today, according to you, which is not the authentic Bible, it is somewhere in the Vatican Library. So even according to the Bible that we have today, Jesus was a Jew, right? Was Israeli.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, why are you asking? Because this is
you
kind of
said,
obvious.
you said something that he was of European descent, the European origins of Jesus. You said something.
Yeah. That's something that has been researched by a couple of very interesting people. There's a lot of signs that it's just like things that don't really match up well in the area of Israel, but would match the southern France fantastically. And there's other like things like weird graves with codes in them and all that. I'm not even like, I'm not very capable of figuring that out personally. There's people that are like researching that. It's very interesting. And there is something magical about southern France. I know because I've been there plenty of times. And there really is something special about that place.
I still don't know how you can be sure of anything in history, because from the looks of it, anything which happened before you existed or about which you are being told a story, even if that story was 50 years back, you have all the reasons to question the validity of that story, and by your definition, you are never going to be sure of whatever happened 50 years ago regarding any event. You can only falsify what did not happen, but you can never really be sure of what actually happened.
Yep. But I'm not concerned with that at all, because I can picture things in my mind and put things together that I don't care whether that abides by raw earthly logic or not. It's all just comparing information to me, all of it. That's the only thing it is, and that's how I regard it, and that's how I figure it out, what the hell's going on here. And that makes things change.
What's raw earthy logic? Logic is logic. What's raw earthy logic?
It's where you start to basically say, well, you don't know, so you must disregard it. Solipsistic.
But you can know things, right? You can be sure of things.
That no, it's not, being sure of things is not relevant in that sense. You're never 100% sure about anything, but that's completely irrelevant to everything.
Can you know anything? How are you not sure about anything that you know?
It all depends on
The definition
how
of
it
know?
compares to, it all depends on how it compares to everything else. That's the answer, and it's the only answer.
Do you know that the earth is flat?
Yeah.
Are you 100% sure about it?
As a matter of speech, yes. Although
There you
technically
go.
nobody can be 100% certain of everything, but I don't care, because that's why I said as a matter of speech, yes. There is no doubt left. There's no piece of information left that gives me any consideration as to an alternative of being flat.
So why is it a matter of just
Nothing left.
speech? It's not just a matter of speech. It's more than that.
No, you can't be 100% certain of everything. Not technically, right?
But how is it just a
Because-
matter of speech?
Because it could all be a freaking matrix and not real. Yeah. What, you didn't expect that? So it's not relevant. It's not relevant. 100% certainty. I know from all the information that I've attained thus far in all my experiences throughout my entire life that there's no alternative to the Earth being flat left that is viable. With all the information available. But yeah, it could turn out to be that my entire life is just this weird imposed hallucination. I'm not even this being exactly. And then that the actual reality that is behind this experience is not a flat Earth. Yeah, that could be cute, isn't it?
And
But I don't
hence,
have that information, so I'm going by the information that is attainable.
and hence you say that you know that the earth is flat on the basis of all the information and scrutinizing every bit of it, so that you are left beyond a shadow of a doubt that whatever conclusion you are coming to, there is no other possibility. It is the only
Based on the
conclusion.
information available, yes.
Oh, no, 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 no. When it is
Yes.
the case,
No, yes. Based on the information available.
when it is the case of a true dichotomy, falsifying one side automatically proves. Once again, does science prove anything? You will say, okay, we cannot really know for
Yes,
sure.
it does. It proves or disproves. Absolutely, it does. Always proves something,
So then
right?
we know
But
that it proves
you
something,
can't
right?
know what you don't know. You can predict what
That's
you don't know,
profound.
but you can't know. So yeah, the Earth is flat, and then after let's say 10,000 miles to the north or to the south, suddenly it could be that there is this bizarre warping of the mind and reality corner, and turns out that the Earth is a freaking cube, and none of it has to actually make sense, because if it turns out to be that way, then it is that way, and then it isn't flat. But we don't know. So we go by the
So,
information that is available to us, and that information is exclusively flat.
so then a glober is right in pointing out that flat earthers do not really know, because it could be a huge wall beyond 10,000 kilometers if we go far enough. So flat earthers shouldn't really be saying that they know that the
Well,
earth is
if they
flat.
say if it's a ball of infinite size, then they could technically be correct, even though it is absolutely nonsensical and there is no lead to begin suggesting that other than them wanting it to be a ball. Because there is no sign of any form of non-flatness, right?
So before any
But
knowledge
theoretically, if the
claim,
Earth is 100 billion times bigger than they thought it was, then yeah, it might sort of turn out to be a ball. But there's absolutely no lead to begin to imagine that that could be true based on the information available.
I think you will have to add the modifier as far as I know before any knowledge claim of yours. I know that this flat
Sorry,
as
I'm not
far as I know.
specific enough. Am I not being specific enough for you?
Yes, but that doesn't really suit a flat earther's pants, because flat earthers say that we are sure that the earth is flat. The fact that
Yes.
the possibility that something may be not flat beyond what we do not know yet should not be stopping us from making the claims that it is flat as far as we know.
Yeah. So I agree to that. Based on the information available, there's no doubt in my mind that it's flat. But yeah, that's the information available, right?
Then
So
again, you will be lying saying that you
so
do not
you
have
go
any
by the
doubt.
information available. If all that you know says something, then that's what it is, because that's all that you know.
doubt
That's
having
how
all the
knowledge works.
information.
That's how knowledge works.
But you doubt having all the information. You think that tomorrow some information may come up which may change your view. So you doubt having all the information.
I doubt it. I doubt there is going to be some information suddenly available that will change all that. Not about this place, because this place, the confines that we know and have measured is certainly flat. And there's nothing that can change that. It is flat. This part is flat.
Then this
Absolutely.
part,
Nothing will ever change that. But does that reveal everything about all that exists?
No, but the part you are talking about is what we call Earth, and hence it can be said without a shadow of a doubt that the Earth is flat.
Absolutely.
You do not
Certainly,
need
the
to
realm that
add
we
as
know
far
is
as we
flat.
know. You do not
Yeah,
need
the
to.
realm that we know is flat. And I don't look, you could think of other places that not being that. I don't even do that. I'm just saying it is possible and people will end up doing it because they can.
So, what are the things that you consider in your knowing category? What all things do you know?
I know that I'm gonna die one day.
You can't be sure, can you?
Yeah,
So, there's no doubt about it.
absolutely.
You're 100% sure.
Yep.
But then you just said you cannot be 100% sure of anything.
All the information available to me that is based on reality proves without a doubt that it's going to happen.
Agreed. Just say that you may come across some information tomorrow, which is why you are not sure. As far as you know, you are going to
I
die.
have no reason to believe that certainly that would change. And if it does, well, who knows? But at this point, with the information available, and especially the misleadings that have been available, the science fiction attempts of trying to convince us of the contrary, have all been very proven to be complete hoaxing and nonsense, leading me to even more believe that it is absolutely inevitable. Absolutely. Besides, it's in the very nature of the spirit that anybody is going to get sick of this place eventually. Anybody. Especially in these times. And with the capabilities and energies available to us as beings in this entropic state of our design. Right? Because like 10,000 years ago, we'd have been designed, or the coherence of our genetics would have been a lot better. We would have lived a lot longer, even as testified. And we would have been stronger and mentally stronger, everything. So it would all be more capable of being almost immortal. We aren't that capable of it anymore, and we're not going to be. And even if we were literally capable of living longer, we'd all go mad and turn demonic, because just being capable of living longer doesn't mean that you're also capable of handling the corruption that we inevitably get to endure, that is getting increasingly worse and is not going to stop. So even if we could technically live forever, we wouldn't want to, because our spirits can't handle that. Which is the same original reason for me why I'm convinced that the idea of an eternal heaven and hell is absolute nonsense. Because any heaven would turn into hell if it's forever. Because forever is something that's not compatible with us, unless we're just made to forget and we're basically just a weird amnesic echo glimpse of ourselves. So is existing in a mutilated state where we can't catch on what is happening so that we don't notice that eternity is passing? Is that a reward? Or will we always end up getting satiated and done with it? Eternity is not compatible with the consciousness.
There are, as far as I can understand, there are a lot of differences in our theological views, and we will have to get to the basics before we get on with these topics. I mean, take them any further. Before taking them any further, we need to talk a little bit about the basics. So things like morality
the
and
gravity. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Not gravity, but morality, the objectivity of truth. What are your views on that? Is morality subjective or objective?
It is objective, but there are weird subjective moralities as well. But the most important ones are objective. The weird thing is that context is a critical component of morality that can literally change the entire thing inside out, but only under specific conditions. And if you fail those conditions, then it will be straight out immoral and evil. Morality is actually unbelievably complicated. It can be described very easily, but to then make that easy description compatible with reality, you always end up in weird corners where it turns into chaos. Always.
But putting a context does not change the objectivity of morality. It may change the consequence of your actions in that particular context, but on what are you basing your decision or your ultimate choice of it being evil or good? It is on the basis of objective morality.
Well, a lot of evil can be done if you don't understand or deny certain things to be evil. That's the real evil. It's the denial of what is evil and what is good. Denial is the true source of evil, right? But people can do evil things for very good reasons, and then still they will feel that evil. They will pay for that evil. But then God might still approve, theoretically.
How do we get to know what
because
is
they knew it was evil and they knew they had to do it.
But how does
for a
anyone
good
get to
reason.
know? How does one get to know what is evil and what is good?
By going through it, by experiencing it, or touching somebody's resonance, somebody's frequency that has experienced it, and that way assimilating it through them.
Lying is bad. Stealing is bad. So I need
Yes.
to do it.
Not
in order
only
to
that,
realize-
lying is the very source of Satan. It's the ultimate source of evil.
Satan who
It's
does
the
not
start
exist, right?
it is not only the beginning of evil. Every time it's the beginning of evil, it's also that thing that perpetuates evil more than anything else, even in people's heads when they don't realize it.
Are you talking about the Satan of the Bible or some idea of evil?
No,
Whom you call
esoteric.
Satan? Or
Well, I think that the Satan of the Bible is definitely derived from those. It's more of a Gnostic approach, I think. I'm not even sure. I call it esoteric. It's just truth is God, lies is Satan. And that's it. That's the formula. That's everything. That's a full circle or a square, and it is all. And that's like the compass, the main compass, how to see what's going on.
But how do you get to know the objective truth? That's the question. Truth may be God, but what is the truth? How do we know that?
Well, that's not relevant. That's not relevant to morality. It's only what is perceived as the truth and then made choices between.
So truth is just a perception then?
Morality wise it is, yes.
There are
But
no-
technically there is the truth is different. Like when something is either the truth or a lie, then you're dealing with like objective events, like what happened. What happened can only be like correct or incorrect, and somebody can say the truth about it or lie about it.
No, even what is
Or be
questions.
mistaken.
Not just what happened, but what is. What is this thing I am holding in my hand? That can also have a true answer or a false answer, right?
No, technically not, because what is questions is subjective to like many different approaches.
What is 2
And
plus 2?
yeah, but that's a conceptual thing. And it is very specific in that sense. That's not very dynamic. 2 plus 2 is conceptual and it's very simplistic. It's 4, because that's how the numbers work.
What is the color of the t-shirt on my profile picture?
Well, that's white with black text. Right?
Right.
And that's because there is a consensus among people that that is how we name the colors.
It's just a consensus. It is not true.
It's a name that is given to the consensus of how we interpret that perception.
That color.
Yeah, it's a perception.
So that color is white.
Yeah,
The word we have given to that color.
it's white.
So white is not just a word. It is that color.
Yeah, in the literal sense, but white is not just that literal color, though, right?
Changing the word
Because
will not
Asian
change the
people
color.
are also called white, even though they're not literally white, are they?
But changing
But it's
the
called
word
white.
will not
So
change the
white is
color.
multiple things.
You may change the word white to anything you want. It won't change the color of my t-shirt. It will still remain the color it is. You may change the name for it.
Well, eventually entropy will set in and it will no longer be perfectly white now, will it?
All right. But what is questions? That's what I'm trying to understand. I cannot still figure out what's going on in your head, but that's the part which was not clear.
Continue. Go ahead. I'm not entirely clear.
I mean, why can't we be sure of things? That's the thing what I wanted to understand. I think that is a form of solipsism.
You mean why can't we be certain of things absolutely? Because, well, we don't have all the information.
Can we ever even expect to have all the information?
No,
So then
never.
we can never have true knowledge of anything, according to your worldview.
Well, you could have it, but you'd never be certain that it was that.
So it was not true knowledge then.
It might be true knowledge, but you don't know whether it is true knowledge or not. You can't be 100% certain whether it is. Yeah, try to figure that one out.
Which is why I wanted to understand about the objectivity of truth. If you are saying there is a truth of the matter, then in that matter, in that context, we are talking about that very truth being the ultimate truth, and anything which varies from that version is by definition a lie.
Yeah, well, truth in that sense is like a compass. It's the standard. You take a stand, you make a decision on how to crystallize things from total fluid chaos into compared to a standard, like comparing it to a law, right? You can interpret somebody's behavior as in like, oh, it's just like animals, but I mean, animals don't know the law. They only know group dynamics, right? So do you look at them as animals or do you look at them through a law perspective, right? And that makes it look completely different. So yeah, what standard are you going to use? You're going to use a book? Are you going to use natural behavior of something? Or you see?
Because if you leave it out to every human for himself or herself, that is what leads to all the chaos in the world, because every person distorts the truth and has an
Well,
subjective idea of morality.
yeah, the subjective morality like that is deranged. Absolutely.
That's what
That-
I understand you are talking about. You are saying that morality is objective.
No, yeah, morality is absolutely objective. It's just that the truth about things you don't necessarily know. But morality, like, doesn't matter. Like,
That's-
it is what
see-
it is.
see, Arvind.
The designer made it things to function in a way with a certain result, and that's never changed. That's like scientific.
The statement itself, morality is objective, full stop. This statement itself is a truth claim you are making. I can ask you, is this statement true? Is this 100% true? Morality is objective. Can you say that you are 100% sure about this, that morality is objective?
Yes, except the base ones. It's like the moralities that everybody will agree upon, rational people.
So it's not objective then.
It's just, you
If
can't
it is
figure
about
it.
everyone agreeing,
You
it is
don't have to
consensus.
yell all of a sudden. Okay. Yeah. Most morality is the moralities that I am certain of, I'm talking for myself, are absolutely objective. But there are things where it becomes more entangled by group dynamics or cultural values, and then it is not objective, then it is subjective. Because it's more habit based,
So
or
in
ritual based.
In short, morality is objective, but it is subjective too.
Well, it's very hard to tell the difference for people.
I'm asking
A
you.
lot of them.
I'm asking you.
Oh, so you're asking about my morality? Because if it's my morality, then how can I claim it is objective? Because it is the morality that's exclusively of mine.
I'm not asking about your morality. I'm asking, according to you, is morality objective?
Can you be more specific? Because I already said, yeah, some morality is definitely objective, others not so much. You're going to have to ask me about examples, and then I'll tell you. And that's the only way I can tell you how, because I don't have a ready available table of all the moralities and where to put them. Because it's so much that I don't really have cognitive room to have like continual memory availability for that sort of thing.
Is rape bad? Evil?
By the official context, yeah.
I'm asking you.
Yeah, and I'm specifying the statement, yeah. By the official meaning of it, yeah. There's people who use that word differently though.
Okay.
But by the official version of it, yeah.
Now I can build a context around rape in which a person, by raping one lady, is maybe saving the lives of 100 other people. Let's just build a very complicated morality around
That's
it.
it makes it evil. Doesn't matter. You can't weigh evil. But it might still be worth doing that, but it doesn't make it not evil. It's still
Exactly
evil.
my point. So it is context independent, right? That's what objective means.
Yeah, I guess.
So irrespective
In
of
this
the
case, at
context,
least.
irrespective of the context, morality is objective.
Yeah, when you're taking this kind of very frontal, in your face examples, then yes.
So you asked me for an example. I was asking you a general question. The same example can be applied to the generalized form of the question also, which is morality.
No, it cannot. No, it has to be specific every single case. And you can like name a whole bunch of very obvious, very dark things. And then I say, yeah, of course, objectively, that's very simple. It's always the same.
So how do we
And
know that?
if you then attempt to get more subtle and not so overt, then the answer would become different. Now, wouldn't it?
So how a rapist does not know that raping is bad? Okay. So if we are to give subjective values to it, maybe that rapist can justify himself why he is raping. According to him, in his own mind, He is not doing something bad. If rape is objectively bad, how did you come to that conclusion and on what basis? That's my primary question.
Well, in that case, that person would have been, for example, raised where women are treated as commodities and are not to be considered, that their will should not be considered. If they're not aware of that is a thing, well, then they can't technically be held and account for that. But I mean, a person like that wouldn't just move in society around not having been informed at all. The chances of that are like infinitesimal. But anyway, yeah. I mean, if somebody is a rapist and they didn't know that was wrong, I mean, how can they have done that before and not find out it's wrong? That person's gonna berate you.
There are people who do a lot of crazy stuff without realizing that they are doing anything wrong. Just look at the war going on in the Middle East right now. You are seeing
That's the
atrocities from
worst
both
example
sides.
ever. That's the worst example ever. If you don't want your channel shut down, I'd suggest that you could stop
Okay.
continuing
Yeah.
that line of thinking.
I understand.
So don't bring that into it.
But I'm saying people do a lot of things and do not give a shit about morality when it becomes subjective, because according to them, they are doing the right thing. When you look at it from a different perspective, they are the villains. So everyone is a hero in their own story and a villain of the other person's story.
Yeah, but that's not morality at all. That's politics. That's not morality.
Morality is the objectivity that only one of them is right and the other one is wrong, objectively.
Yeah, well, they're misapplying it because it doesn't work with a them-us situation.
But then how do we come to these conclusions? What is the objectively true thing to do, objectively right thing to do?
The objectively right thing to do would be in accordance to the teachings of Christ, and that is stop it right now.
Why the teachings of Christ?
Because those are the teachings that I know and directly associate with that specific wisdom.
Once again, then, if someone associates with some other scriptures, once again, I would not name it, but there is a lot of crazy stuff written in many other scriptures.
I'm sure there is, but I don't care about the crazy stuff. I care about the wisdom. It's already said, it's like all of it is unreliable. I only care about what Christ says, and there is no part where he does anything like egregiously wrong, like ever. No matter the context. So, like, all the other people in there are freaking insane. I don't care. I'm there for the red letters. I'm there for what Christ says. That's the actual wisdom.
So Christ is a very nice personality according to the manipulated and cooked up Bible that we have today.
Well, not just nice. And there's a lot of things that have been left out. Right?
How do
And
you
I don't
know?
think that the actual words, like his insight and wisdom, is a structure.
How do you know
You
what's
can't
authentic
take
and what's
it away
not?
because of the nature of how he says it.
So you are the judge.
Yeah, everybody's the judge. And so am I.
So it's subjective then.
What is subjective?
Your interpretation of reality, of truth, anyone can interpret it the way
Of
they want.
reality and truth? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? We're talking about the Bible here.
Yeah, Jesus was a man.
Yeah.
a
So that
person.
has to do with that interpretation, not truth and reality.
You have interpreted the text in such a way that you are ready to believe that Jesus may never have even existed.
Yeah, it's not relevant to me. Yeah, laugh it up. It isn't. It's not relevant to me. It's relevant what the words say and what they do. The implications. That's what's relevant to me. I don't care. To me, it's basically an archaic fairy tale book in that sense. I don't care. It's the same as like Greek mythology to me, except much better because this one has Jesus Christ in it. Yeah, that's right. See? And that way I can say the Bible is faked and still I have it and I read it and I follow it. Yeah? That's what I do. Try to find somebody out there that does that.
That's
No, no, no.
stupid.
Oh, because it has to be truth. You have to chant like all the chanters, or it's all wrong and I abandon God. Like everybody's a fucking idiot.
All right.
I'm sitting in the middle and I'm just doing what I think was supposed to be. Trying to follow the right things, point at the right things, be that compass, be that reference frame to get it right so that other people can compare that system that I'm trying to express to what they're trying to figure out. And then everybody has a better chance at getting it right. Because it's a giant delusion. We're all drowning in layers and layers of delusion that have been cast out while the original truths have been scrubbed away. But even delusion comes forth from truth. And through delusion, not by accepting it, but by figuring it out, can you find traces of the truth and eventually put it together?
They have really.
Like the truth cannot literally be hidden forever. It's impossible, because if you're subjected to any information, then the truth eventually finds its way through.
I agree. They really have done a great job, so much so that even after Bible being out there and it telling you what it actually means, people still don't believe and interpret it the way that they want it to. They do not really believe the truth which is presented in the Bible, which is all about Christ, his death and resurrection. But you can manipulate it the way it suits you, and you are good to go. Just take the few nice quotes of Jesus which sound hunky dory, and there you are.
Right. Well, and the most favorite part of all, of course, is how he died for your sins, so that you don't have to worry about misbehaving and being a terrible, terrible person. Because if you just believe the right things and chant something that makes no sense in the right way, well, then you're safe. Everything is good. You have eternal bliss after death, no matter how horrific you act, right? That's the ultimate delusion. That's the Antichrist Christianity. That's where the Satanists hide within Christianity.
Satan, who is just an idea, God, who is just an energy. Yeah.
That I'm not saying that at all, but you can say that if you like. For as far as I'm concerned, Satan is a force.
That's what I thought.
It's the force of lies. It's the frequency and the force and the influence, and it can very easily be personified. And somebody can be possessed by that personification and become that. And the consequences are always the same. So it's a mechanism of how things work between the material and the consciousness, how things crystallize. And Satan is a one direction in that. And you could say Jesus is the exact opposite direction within that. You could say Jesus, I say God.
Have you also read the Old Testament?
Yeah, bits of it. It's quite deranged at times.
But the Bible is actually Old Testament plus the New Testament. Only the New Testament and only what Jesus said does not actually entail what the Bible has to offer.
I know. I mean, they're very interesting stories, a lot of it, but it's mostly interesting. Old Testament is just very interesting, and it does give like a lot of context and form as to where it's coming from. And in that sense, I find it very interesting. But like as a moral guide, please.
Okay, Arvin. So it's midnight here, and I think I will round out my show. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll definitely need to change the title of this video. We did talk about gravity for the first 10 or 15 minutes, but after that, I broached a topic which you seem to caught on, and thanks to that, that gave you a chance to join my show, an excuse to join my show for the first time. So nice to have you, Arvin. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and it's been a pleasure. Like rolling out this subject. Sorry for changing the subject, but
No problem.
maybe the
Arvin.
next time we can actually talk about gravity.
Yes, of course. And I was going to review Nathan's 2 days back video of John Brand, that acoustics one. I was going to review that video today also, but no worries. Some other day I will change the title, and I will love to have these conversations more with you. It's difficult. I've told you before that it's difficult for me to join in your early bird shows due to the timings of it,
Hmm.
but I will try
I
to
understand.
connect with
Yeah, it's
you.
very late for you then, right?
No, it's not late. It's my working hours, unfortunately.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I have a job, something that I have to do to survive. Otherwise, I would be like Nathan Oakley, doing it 24/7.
Right. Okay, yeah, well, anyway, thanks for having me. And yeah, sure, I'll come back another time.
All right,
And
Arvind.
yeah, have a great day.
You too. Bye, brother.
Thank you. See ya.
See. Bye. तो थिंग्स फॉल डाउन. लेट मी सी. ये इतने देर से यहीं पे था नहीं, हमारे कॉन्वर्सेशन पे होगा. ठीक है, फाइन. Now, और कोई आ रहे हो, ज्वाइन कर रहे हो? नहीं, एक्चुअली अरविंद को जाने को बोला क्योंकि ख़त्म ही करना था. तो चलो, इट वाज अ नाइस कॉन्वर्सेशन. और हफ्ते में एज ऑफ नाउ, अगले हफ्ते में भी आई विल बी आउट ऑफ स्टेशन. तो ये लाइव स्ट्रीम में भी अगले हफ्ते नहीं होगा, विच इज़ वाई इट वॉज इम्पॉर्टेंट टू गेट इट डन दिस वीक एटलीस्ट. लेकिन अरविंद जैसे कॉन्वर्सेशंस कर रहा था एक टॉपिक को लेके, इन डेप्थ कॉन्वर्सेशंस, वैसे कॉन्वर्सेशंस अगर डेली शोज हों, then फिर more time can be given to those kind of conversations deviating from flat earth topic into God and religion and theology and logic and philosophy and what not. But we will see वैसा होता है या नहीं future में. But as of now I'm going to continue with these weekly shows, and go and subscribe to Arvin's channel. I will put the link in the description also. An ace flat earther, one of the OGs of flat earth. जब से flat earth इंटरनेट पे एटलीस्ट चालू हुआ है, तब से ये लोग साथ में बातें, डिस्कशन, डिबेट, कॉन्वर्सेशंस करते आ रहे हैं, ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग. एंड इट इज़ द रिजल्ट ऑफ सो मच ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग बाय दीज गाइज like Arvin, like Nathan, like Quantum Eraser, and the entire Flat Earth debate panel, that I am able to succinctly put these points in front of you. So thanks to the entire team, entire Flat Earth debate panel members, and particularly Arvin for gracing the occasion with his presence. I would say ये वाला वीडियो ओरिजिनली पार्ट 1 पक्का जाके देखो, एंड जब पार्ट 1 हो जाए तो पार्ट 2 भी देखना. ये दोनों वीडियोस में ग्रेविटी और साइंस वर्सेस सूडो साइंस के टॉपिक्स एकदम इन डेप्थ कवर करते हैं. एंड जैसा मैंने शुरू में बोला था, द पर्पस ऑफ दीज 2 वीडियोस इज़ टू गिव फ्लैट अर्थर्स सम क्लैरिटी ऑन द टॉपिक ऑफ ग्रेविटी. कोई ग्लोब अर्थर आके देख रहा है तो उसको तो फर्स्ट मिनट से ही ये मान के चलना पड़ेगा कि उनकी जो ग्रेविटी है वो हम डिबंक करके ही चल रहे हैं. लेकिन एक्चुअल डिबंकिंग के और उनके आर्ग्यूमेंट्स क्या होते हैं, ये सब इसी वीडियो के जब आप अंदर में जाके देखोगे तो आई डील विथ ऑल दोज आर्ग्यूमेंट्स, ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ ग्रेविटी जो वो बोलते हैं, बी इट न्यूटोनियन ग्रेविटी और सम अदर टाइप काइंड ऑफ ग्रेविटी। बट इसका वंस अगेन आपको ये दिखा देता हूँ कि यही सारी चीज़ें मैंने पहले भी डिस्कस की थी। न्यूटोनियन ग्रेविटी, मास अट्रैक्टिंग मास, कैपिटल जी, IVDVs, independent variable, dependent variable in the scientific method, in a hypothesis, Cavendish experiment, ये सारी कुछ बातें वो वाले वीडियो में मैंने करी है। सो सम रियली इम्पॉर्टेंट स्टफ़ जो कि मुझे आज के वीडियो में भी कवर करना था, उसमें से कुछ चीज़ें आई एम गोइंग टू डू दैट इन माई नेक्स्ट वीडियो, जब भी वो हो। मोस्ट प्रोबेबली इट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू बी नेक्स्ट वीक, so the week after that most probably. So yeah, okay, that's it. I'll take your leave. This is Flat Arthur signing out. Have a good day.